Hey guys, welcome to myabaton.com where we are going to be addressing our low back PMS. Boom! We are going to kill it today with our low back mega motion program. We're going to do a summary video. We'll show you how quickly to go through it. We're going to take you step by step, show you each exercise, count with you, just in case you forgot how to count. This is for your everyday kind of aches and pains. If you've been through a car accident or have had surgery, that's a little bit different situation. You need to talk to your physical therapist. But for your everyday, I wake up, I have pain at work, I have pain in the car, I have pain when I'm walking, I have pain when I'm at the grocery store, I have pain when I'm changing my diaper. All those kind of things are going to be potentially be easily fixed if you follow this quick little program. So let's go through it. Okay, let's start with stretch position number 1. It's our press up. So let's go through this. You're going to roll your spine up, nice and gentle, and back down. Again, we're trying to get that extension movement. Okay, there's 2 of them. We're going to do about 10 to 15. When you're doing this, you roll your spine up, you push to pain, not through pain. If for some reason this is too uncomfortable with your hands under your shoulders, if you move your hands out in front of you and do that same, you won't go up as far and it won't press into your back as much. But you want really good motion like Mr. Abaton has here. You want to be able to really bend back. If you try and do this and your back won't let you move, this is probably a good reason why you are having pain, or part of the reason. You've got to have good mobility through the spine. And if you're not moving like this, then there's a good chance those restrictions are resulting in some of the pain. Once we get 10 of those, we switch. We're going to go knees side to side, and you can bring your legs up to what we call 90-90 position, and then you rock to one side, next side. This is the rotation movement of those facet joints. You want to rotate back and forth, and this will give a really nice oblique abdominal core strength as you do this one, so you're getting a little bit of strengthening of really key muscles through your back and your tummy here, as well as getting the rotation. This is a fantastic exercise. Now, if you do have pain, then you can drop your feet to the ground and you can do the same thing. We're going to do just only 10 to 15 of these and just rock back and forth. Okay? And this will help really with, again, you pay attention. Do I have restrictions? Does it hurt? And if it does, then you want to really work on this. Next exercise is our low back stretch. This is primarily for the muscles. You're bringing your knees towards your forehead. This is a hold. Now, this is kind of a funny position. You can do this seated, but this is a really nice way to stretch the low back. It's going to pull through the fascia and the muscles through this low back and give you that flexion motion through the joints. You're going to hold this for 10 to 15 seconds 3 times, or you can just hold it in one position for a 30-45 second stretch. Again, sometimes we have too much soft tissue approximation, and so you can't get back like this because you have a belly in the way. And that's okay. You just need to do this seated. And you can do that just as easy, sit down and lean forward. This is a Abaton special in the preferred position because of how it stretches and kind of isolates this area of the low back. But again, not necessary for a good low back stretch, but this is a really nice position to hold it in. Next stretch is stretching our hip and piriformis muscle. And what you're going to do is you're going to just cross your leg, get that up, cross it, and then with the back straight, you lean forward. And we're going to lean into that same stretch time frame, 10 to 15 seconds. You can do a nice hold, really breathe through that hold because it's going to be really uncomfortable through your hip area. And you're going to do that 3 to 4 times. Nice hold. And the golden rule with stretching is if it is too painful to hold for 10 to 15 seconds, then you are pushing too hard or you shouldn't be doing it. So you kind of have to pay attention to that as you go into this and let that hip stretch. And this is super important for the SI joint, for that really low back. This one really targets those muscles that will contribute to some of that pain. We want to always do both sides when we're doing one leg at the time. So for this one, we'll hit both hips. And again, you're just holding a nice 10 to 15 second hold. Really hold that out, and back out of it. And the reason we do both hips is because even if one side, which you will find typically is one side is much tighter than the other side, that's okay. You still want to stretch both, so you just keep a really nice balanced stretch program, making sure that one side doesn't get tight, they both stay loose, and you're just keeping a really healthy overall body and not letting one side go while you focus on the other side. Next stretch is our runner stretch or hamstring stretch. Okay, now this looks like a normal runner stretch, but the difference for this is that we are going to be reaching to the outside of the leg, not down the middle of the leg as you stretch into this. So you have one leg out and you have one leg bent, and then as you stretch into this, you are putting your hands on the outside of the leg and going down towards the outside of the foot. What that does is gives a nice stretch through your back as well as the hamstring. Both places can contribute to low back and mid back pain. And so by giving this stretch, you'll get all this stretched out on one side, and of course we'll do both sides. You get a nice stretch through this entire back while giving that hamstring, which ties to your low back, all a really good healthy stretch. So we'll switch sides after you've done 10 to 15 second holds 3 times. And we're going to stretch through the other side. And again, you're trying to make sure you're not hurting yourself while these, so if it's too uncomfortable on one side, back off on it a little bit less. Even if you feel less stretch, a little bit of stretch that isn't painful will go a lot further for you than if you're doing a really aggressive stretch and getting more stretch, but you're causing more pain, which can cause muscle spasms and inflammation, those things to occur. So you want to really make sure that you're being gentle and just holding it what you can tolerate and not being too aggressive with a stretch program. Work your way into it over time. Next stretch is we're going to be stretching our quad and our hip flexor. Now you're going to hold onto your foot, kind of arch your back, and you're pulling this back as well as bending the knee as much as you can. Now this is very similar to if I was to grab my own foot, stand up, and pull my ankle towards my behind. So you want to give this a nice stretch. You can do it laying down, and either way is fine as long as you feel like you get a stretch through your quad and into that hip flexor. You'll notice Mr. Abaton kind of arches his back a little bit, and you want to arch your back because that way you'll kind of get that hip flexor. Now in this case, in some stretches are easier this way to just hold once you've gotten in position, because it's a little trickier position. So he's just doing a nice long hold here for a good 30 to 45 seconds, and then we can switch sides and move on. You don't necessarily have to do like we have been doing. You don't necessarily have to do every 15 seconds, give it a break. It's just all up to you. So we're going to be doing these nice long holds on this side. Again, he's kind of arching his back, pulling that knee back as much as he can with bending the knee. Because the quad, which a lot of people forget, also attaches to our pelvis, which then affects our low back. A lot of times we focus on the hip flexor, which goes from our femur to our low back, and that's a really good place to target, but we want to make sure we get both areas that could potentially be affecting our low back pain. Now, if this isn't, if this really loose for you, you may not need this. It's just up to what is restricting and tight for you. So the last movement in our stretch program is the first stretch that we did. You return to the low back press up. The reason for that is because we've done a lot of bending forward in our other stretches, and so we kind of want to reverse that and give that extension movement. This movement is so important for our backs, and we spend so much time leaning forward. We lean forward when we sit at computers, sit in cars, sit in chairs. So this gives us an opportunity to really give a second chance to stretch out this extension movement. Now, if you're doing this and you're getting pain zinging down your legs, you need to stop and go see a physical therapist. But if you can do this with just pain here in your back, or if you get pain that comes out of your legs to the back, that's all good stuff, and you should continue with this exercise. If for some reason you're not seeing results, then go see a physical therapist. But rock through another 10 to 15 reps. After that, you're gonna feel loose, you're gonna feel good. You may have to do this for a good 4 to 6 weeks to get great benefits. But this is the ultimate mega motion program. This is killer for the back and will help you get the motion you need so you don't have pain. Oh no!